Hello and welcome to the Systematic Review series. Today we are going to discuss about the search cutoff date. When do the last search in a systematic review gets outdated? So this video is based on my personal experience and also based on a published paper by Stokes. Is a one-size-fits-all 12-month rule appropriate when it comes to the last search date in a systematic reviews? So first let us discuss about my personal experience. So this is based on a review which I have sent to the journal for publication, and the review is now published in European Journal of Contraception and Reproductive Health Care. So this particular work is about synthesis of systematic reviews on factors influencing contraception choice and use globally. So earlier I have sent to another journal, and this is the comment I received from the journal reviewer. The data of the conduct of the search is more than 1 year ago. Suggest you rerun your search to ensure no new reviews have been published in the interim since your last search, and update your Prisma figure accordingly. So this was a difficult decision for us to take because of the huge amount of work towards synthesizing systematic reviews, mainly qualitative systematic reviews on this topic. So when the reviewer told to rerun the search and then to update the findings, it was not easy, because the findings, it's not just straightforward statistical type of findings. It's all more of conceptualization and thinking, a lot of thinking involved, and then we conceptualized, we synthesized the findings into synthesis statements from several qualitative research work. We have, I think in this review, we have around 24 systematic reviews with 500 plus, with around 500 primary studies in it. So huge amount of work has gone into synthesizing those findings, and to update it, it was very, very difficult to do that process again. So let us look at some of the reasons why we should not have a blanket rule of like 1 year or 6 months like that for the search. So search expiry date and chances of rejection by journals, I think some of us encounter these issues, and how to address it. That is the main focus of today's discussion. So rigorous and complex systematic reviews, as we know, that it require more time, sometimes more than 12 months from the search date to publish, because of huge volumes of findings to synthesize. It require more time. Not all type of review are at a risk of being outdated. So it depends on the review topic. We know some of the topics, some areas such as emerging topics, and also some topics which are fast moving, like new changes are happening very fast, new interventions, new drugs, new guidelines, new protocol, etc. So most often qualitative and mixed method reviews are unlikely to have their findings substantially changed by the inclusion of the new evidence. So there is a difference between the type of reviews, and then that depends on the expiry date of the search, or whether the search is still relevant or not. Cochrane Handbook recommends like that searches as up to date as possible, specifying within 12 months, but ideally within 6 months of publication. Maybe these are some of the reasons why journal reviewers and journal guidelines give a cutoff date like 6 months or 12 months like that. So it also, but the Cochrane Handbook also acknowledges that reviews within a broad scope will require more resources. More guidelines are there in Cochrane, the latest Cochrane Handbook regarding complex multi-method reviews. So why some systematic reviews require more time and effort? So especially the broad complex and multi-component reviews require more time. We all are aware of it, because lot of comparative work to be done in broad reviews. There will be several types of interventions to compare, to categorize, and the type of the delivery of interventions will be different, modes of delivery, intensity of interventions, etc. So there is lot of work to be done. So then it is like it require more of comparative type of work. Complex effectiveness reviews often require significant conceptual development and interpretation. So we found in that particular example that we took lot of time in conceptualizing the reviews, conceptualizing the findings, conceptualizing the key concepts in the review. So it is a very time consuming process. Then the next issue is to understand the complexity. Like if you want to know, like especially psychosocial or public health interventions are multi-component. So it is, we want to know what features of that intervention is more effective. That means we have to unpack the complexity of the intervention. That requires huge amount of effort. And some reviews we do as multiple synthesis stage. For example, mixed method reviews, like we may start with qualitative work, move on to quantitative, then we'll do a mixed method synthesis, or in sequential designs also require more time and effort. The next important aspect is involvement of patient and public. So PPI and stakeholder involvement all requires lot of time, because we need time to identify the stakeholders, consultation with the stakeholders, and also to make necessary changes in the review. And they are consulted at different stages of time, so their involvement varies. Some reviews they are extensively involved, sometimes there will be just like an advisory group or few experts involved. I'm talking about the situation where a large amount of stakeholders are involved, and the consultation process also requires time and effort, and it makes also the review process more lengthy than without stakeholder involvement. So advances in systematic review methodology. So over the last 10 years, rapid advancements has taken place in systematic review methodology. It is very much emerging and evolving field with lot of automation, methodological advancements in assessing risk of bias, assessing confidence of findings. Several tools, several new frameworks have been in place, assessing equity of participants. So such things have made systematic review more complex. The methodology is more advanced methodology, and also it requires more time and effort to complete the review. And of course, the increase in research literature. We know the publications are increasing day by day, and then so more research to be searched, more research to be screened, more data to be extracted, more findings to the synthesis. So it is all add to the increased amount of work and time needed to complete a systematic review. Publication process. So the publication process are also tedious sometimes, especially in complex mixed method reviews, because to find peer reviewers is not easy with specific expertise. So the process can be delayed, and it result in search date getting older. I have experience of submitting journal articles, and there is no peer review or comments from the journal review team for 6 months, sometimes even more than that. So that also result in search getting outdated, and the process will be delayed. So generally, broad, complex and multi-component reviews may not age as quickly as simple effectiveness reviews. We have seen that because of the complexity of the work and conceptualization and the different aspects we have looked into conducting a multi-component review, it is more likely that the results will be still relevant even after few years. So we need to think that this particular systematic review topic is something which will get outdated or is still relevant, or is it rapidly evolving treatment or a new disease we are looking into. And broader reviews are examine a range of interventions are at less risk for becoming outdated. And also when we unpack the nuanced findings arising from complex or multi-component reviews, it is more likely to be compromised by the out-of-date searches. Reviews which examine perspective and understanding are less likely to date as quickly, as cultural norms and expectations tend to evolve more slowly over time. Our review about factors influencing contraception choice and use, I mentioned that's more of a qualitative type of review, and it was like it is perspectives of individual perspective of partners, family members, and the influence of health system, wider society, social, cultural, religious aspects. So when we looked at all these things, uh, we feel that it is very unlikely that it will be outdated in next few years. So we have also looked into the new some of the new systematic reviews, and we have not formally integrated the findings, but when we checked on a superficial way, we found it is similar thing. Then even the new findings are similar to what we found. So it is good to check if new research affect the findings. In conclusion, is a one size fits all 12-month rule appropriate when it comes to the last search date in systematic reviews? Here, some of the questions are: what is the priority? Do we need a more up-to-date evidence, or we need a more rigorous, more complex, more comprehensive review? And what is the topic? Is the topic likely to get outdated? And consider how likely any new or additional studies change the review findings, and the depth of review work to be undertaken. Sometimes new studies will be just slotted to keep it up to date rather than integrating it. It may work in narrow effectiveness review, because if you have a meta-analysis findings, maybe to redo the meta-analysis findings with the few 2 or 3 new studies, it may be just a statistical computation to be done. So that will be relatively easy. But if you need to conceptualize and synthesis a huge amount of study, and then that type of work involved, then the depth of work is more, and it is very difficult to slot in the new findings. So more of narrow systematic reviews get published if a strict rule is followed. So some journals follow a strict rule. So that means more rigorous, more comprehensive, more extensive, more complex reviews. There is a chance that they go unpublished, and it is a substantial research waste. So a 12-month rule means that review authors who opt to undertake more complex or more challenging type of synthesis works and more extensive involvement of PPI, they all run the risk of non-publication of their findings. So this is an important issue to be considered. And when the journal articles, when your systematic review get rejected, maybe some of the points I mentioned in this video will be useful for you to justify why your findings are still relevant, and also to put forward your arguments and your justification and your rationale of doing the systematic review, and why you think the results are still relevant. So hope this video will be useful for you all, and thanks for watching. If you think this information is useful, please like, share and subscribe. I will be back with more videos on systematic review practical tips. Thank you once again.